Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I have a video for you with some fun Valorant gameplay. I'm mostly going to be playing Jett and Viper, and I wanted to talk about why Valorant has been very hard for me so far. I am very much so on the struggle bus with this game. The gameplay that you see are just small snippets, good segments, out of a lot of maybe not so great gameplay. And I'm struggling with it, which is a shame because I think Valorant is a great game and a great first-person shooter. I love the art style. I love how light and fast and smooth it runs on my PC. I can get nearly infinite frames. I like the abilities. I like the tactical nature of the game. I actually like the fact that you can pick people really fast, and I like everything about it, but I just have this one teeny tiny nagging frustrating problem that I'm struggling to master, which is the CSGO aiming. I am of the belief that CSGO aiming is not good, nor is it the pinnacle of first-person shooters. I know that is a blasphemy that has been spoken and that many of you will immediately rage, but just hear my opinion on this one. I think that the CSGO style aiming system was not intentionally designed to be what it is, but rather it's an antiquated system left over from literally the first Half-Life in like 1996 that players just kind of got used to. I was talking to my editor Hayden. He works on some of the in-depth videos and all of the stream highlights you see here on this channel, and he was telling me about how he played CSGO for over 1,500 hours, so to him hopping into Valorant felt incredibly natural, and if you put that much time into a game, of course it's going to feel natural, and CSGO is one of the most popular games of all time, so that people who have played that game, which is almost everybody, will feel right at home with Valorant and not notice these things. I mean, it's similar to kind of how I put 600 hours into PUBG. I loved PUBG. I played the crap out of PUBG, and I think that's why I like Warzone. It's very PUBG-like, and in that time, all of the weird and wonky mechanics in that game started to feel natural because I sort of started to understand their oddness. And half of my skill in PUBG was just defeating the bad game mechanics. So instead of whining some more, how about I give you an example of what I'm talking about? This is a gunfight that I thought I should have won. The other person rounded the corner. I was sitting still, yet when I shot them perfectly accurate, none of my bullets hit. And if you watch carefully, yeah, I missed the first two shots, okay. And then my bullets are jumping up and outside of my crosshairs. They're actually like above and beyond the crosshairs that I have and outside of the hipfire box, meaning that none of my UI, none of my indication or anything was making any sense. And I know that, CSGO recoil, you pull down and it's going to go up higher and things like that, but it was going higher than my UI was telling me. And I know right now the CSGO pros are about to come into this commentary and tell me that I need to get good and learn spread patterns, and that's how the gun is supposed to work. And for Valorant it is. That's how it's supposed to work. That was how it was designed to work. Or, you can tell me that I need to tap fire and that I need to not strafe shoot and things like that. And all of these things are true. All of those are real, true, valid criticisms. You guys are 100% right. But that's like one half of the story. So on the other half could be that maybe instead of adapting to weird mechanics, why did my crosshairs lie to me? Why did my user interface tell me something that was impossible because my bullets are going outside of even the widest spread on my crosshairs and above it? And that's something that I don't like. I am maybe not as hardcore of a gamer as some other people, so I like my UI to be intuitive, to tell me things, to telegraph information, and not to deceive. And for example, we're going to talk about some other games. Every other popular shooter that has come out in the last 10 or 20 years has one standard mechanic for hipfire boxes because that mechanic is intuitive and easily understandable. Your shots will land inside the circle or box, RNG style, as you spray. The longer you spray, the wider that hipfire box gets, but bullets will never go outside of the box. Even in Call of Duty or Battlefield, you can no-scope sniper rifles and stuff, the box is just incredibly wide, but it's still there and it's still visible and it's still bounded in that way. This basic idea of RNG inside a bounded area is true in Call of Duty, Apex Legends, all the Battlefield games. Well, some of them have bullet drop, that's a little bit different. Fortnite, Siege, PUBG, Tarkov, etc. All the other games are like that, but CSGO, and thus Valorant, are not. So 10 years of playing other shooters have trained me to center the box and the crosshairs on what I want to hit, and to expect my bullets to land somewhere inside that box. So depending on the range of the enemy and how fast I'm shooting, I know the odds of making that shot in this kind of game, excluding aiming down sights for games that have like pure hit scans and stuff, and ADS is a little bit different in this game. ADS actually is just an entirely different kind of hipfire, which is a little bit trippy, but I actually think that's a neat mechanic instead of a bad one. That one I'm okay with. But the problem is that CSGO and Valorant are just not like these other games. They are totally different, and part of this is literally just a design flaw in the UI going back to Counter-Strike days, and since you want to appeal to Counter-Strike players, you're going to keep that same little flaw because they're used to it. And the other part of it is that I'm supposed to be taking advantage of predictive recoil. We've had this in the last 2 Call of Duty games, and there are lots of shooters. Actually, most of them now have some version of predictive recoil baked into the code. Predictive recoil basically means that your shots will have the same recoil pattern every single time and that they are not random. If you shoot your AK, it's going to be dead on center, up to the right, up to the left, up to the right. It's going to do that same pattern every single time in every single situation. And what that means for you is that you can take the time to memorize the pattern and to master the recoil, and even a very high recoil gun you control. I've seen some really good CSGO pros that know where like the second and third shots are going to be, so they're making like mouse micro adjustments to recenter the shots exactly where they're going to go to get the headshots. And I think that this type of feature is great for first-person shooters. I think that predictive recoil is fantastic, and that's one of the reasons that CSGO has been so successful over time, is that people are able to take advantage of the predictive recoil, put in the work, really master something, and get good. Valorant has the same thing, so there's definitely the opportunity for me to do that, but it's a little bit different. In Valorant, at least, the weapons are not 100% predictive. They're very predictable, but not 100%. If I'm not mistaken, we had a conversation with the developers in the early launch event thing, and I want to say the first 3 shots are 100% identical on every weapon. But basically the first 3 you shoot out are going to be the same every single time. So you can really truly master those and make those mouse micro adjustments and get good. The next 3 are like half random, half predictable. Like the next 3 are random, but within pretty tightly defined bounds, so you can still master the next 3 as well. And then after that, it just kind of gets wild. CSGO is like that too, so I guess I'm just kind of beating a dead horse though. At the end of the day, I do like this game. I enjoy Valorant. It's fun to play for a lot of reasons you can hear in my review. It's just that the shooting mechanics frustrate me. So instead of just not playing or quitting, I've decided actually to play more often to try to learn some new tricks and maybe apply some of the in-depth knowledge that I usually just do for you guys on this channel for myself. I'm going to be practicing recoil patterns a lot to understand how each weapon handles. I'm going to be trying different things. I'm probably going to have to watch some other people's videos, but there's a real newfound desire in me to get good and master these skills. I want to see maybe in 2 months from now if my opinion on this has changed, if there's some nuance to it that I just haven't experienced yet that can open my mind to something bigger, better, and different. And I'd also generally like to post Valorant content more often in the future in this channel, if you guys are down for that. Maybe even Valorant in depth, depending on a lot of different things. My fear there is that it's going to be a very esport heavy dominated game, and that if you aren't challenger tier, if you're not on a pro team, if you're not literally Shroud or Flom or something, then whatever advice you have won't qualify. It won't be real. That's kind of the problem I had when I did League of Legends in depth. I think I was like bronze or silver. I wasn't very great at the game, even though I had a fantastic understanding of the mathematics behind it, and it just didn't go very well because my rank was too low. So I'm going to try to rank up and try to get good. I got to figure out the shooting thing first. There are 5 things that I've learned so far in my play sessions. 5 shooting type things that help me, and it's all basically CSGO stuff. I've learned that you don't ever shoot more than 3 shots at a time unless they're like right in your face. Maybe like point blank you can spray, fine, but typically 3 shots is your limit, and even middle of a gunfight you have to take a minute to breathe and let the gun reset. You should literally never shoot while moving, especially not full speed. If you shoot while moving, you're not going to hit the broadside of a barn. The bullets are going to go crazy and everywhere. There's absolutely no point in doing it. And that's kind of alien to me because I'm used to like strafing and COD and, you know, Apex and stuff like that. Number 3 is sort of the opposite of number 2. You got to try to stand still, or at the very minimum be slow walking, shift walking while you're shooting. That helps tremendously. You just see an enemy, and there is a neat mechanic that I kind of like. It's Fortnite style. Yeah, it's all hipfire, RNG, whatever, but if you stop, it almost immediately, it's like 1 or 2 frames, it just snaps back to really, really good first shots accuracy. So as soon as you see an enemy and stop moving, you've already given yourself a nice accuracy bonus. Number 4 is if you have to go fully automatic for some reason, you're going to have to start pulling down a lot. I've learned that. I've learned that my crosshairs are a lie, And then if I'm gonna full auto people because I'm a noob or desperate or whatever, in a lot of situations I'm gonna be aiming at knees and the bullets will hit their heads. And finally, this is probably the best tip and the most silly get good tip that I have in this video, is that the first shot should always be aimed directly at the head, especially if you're doing the thing where you stop moving so that your first shot's incredibly accurate. You click heads. It's hard because everybody else is doing it. You have very little time to react and do it, but that first shot needs to hit the head. You really, if you can just make sure that your first shot hits the head, you've pretty much won the game. And all these other tips don't really mean anything. These other tips are to compensate for when your first shot doesn't hit enemies in the head. But I'm trying that, trying the little practice range stuff, trying to get good, and hopefully that happens. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my opinions on Valorant and my little update. This isn't like a guide. It's more like a personal journey kind of thing that I'm on. And if you are interested in more Valorant content or Valorant in depth, please let me know and I'll get to work on it. Drifter out.